What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Eric, and today it is finally time to review the brand new Candyman film that just hit theaters. I saw this last night. My thoughts are all over the place. I got home, I actually tried to do the review, but I had to sleep on this one. I had to think some more about it because it is just, it's a fascinating film, and it's definitely, first of all, much better than parts 2 and definitely part 3. No doubt about that. This is a much stronger sequel to the first film. This takes a lot of the ideas, a lot of the characters from the original film, and just develops them further without doing just kind of a repeat of the same storyline, kind of like part 2 did, and then part 3 did even worse. No, you get a whole new storyline here. A lot of interesting ideas are explored, and that's what I really liked about this movie. In a total polar opposite of part 3, you have everything looking much better. Now, I know this is a modern film, so you kind of expect that, but at the same time, even that considered, the cinematography is outstanding in this movie. A lot of the shots are really cool. There's a lot of unique ways that they shoot some of the kills and some of the ways that the Candyman will show up. Now, before I go any further, this is non-spoiler. I'm not going to give anything away. Just trying to give my overall thoughts, and so I might be kind of vague here, but overall, it was a positive experience. I was definitely, you could say I was at the edge of my seat for a lot of this film, just wondering where it was going because there was a lot of just interesting things that were happening. But what I really like about it is how well connected it is to that first Candyman film. There are characters that are back, there are storylines that are back, and it all really connects well with that first film. So basically, this is a much stronger sequel, and it's just a better movie than parts 2 and 3.
Candyman.
I think I made a mistake. I brought him back.
Candyman isn't real!
All that being said, I'm still kind of mixed on the movie. And I'm not saying it's bad. It's definitely not a bad movie. But I don't think it's a masterpiece. I think that some people are saying it is, and that's fine if that's someone's opinion. You know, they could say it's a masterpiece, it's freaking amazing, this and that, and it's really good, and I do need to see it again, and I would like to see it again in theaters. But I thought that this film did a great job of slowly building up and slowly telling a story, and it kind of, and I didn't know how long this film was when I went to it. I didn't really want to know anything about it. I didn't watch any trailers, and just the buildup of the story I thought was solid, and it looked like it was turning out to be, you know, a movie that was going to go for a couple hours, and there was going to be a big payoff. There was going to be, this massive climax and all this, and it was just going to be horrific, and there was going to be some amazing horror. And my goodness, that third act just went whoosh, and it wrapped up so quick. And before I knew it was over. Now, that might be considered a compliment. Obviously, time flies when you're having fun. So definitely it wasn't boring at all. And there were storylines. There were things that I was like, where is this going? What's going on? And some of that is paid off, but some of it really isn't. There are definitely some storylines, some subplots that don't really go anywhere, but some do. And even those that do, when it happens towards the end, I'm like, what? I don't even get that, even though maybe it's cool. But it doesn't make a whole ton of sense, certain things that happen, at least at this point. Now, maybe with rewatches, maybe with some conversations, maybe I'll learn that some of those things do make sense. But no matter what, I still think that it felt rushed at the end. I didn't feel there was a ton of payoff. Now, I'm not saying it wasn't cool. There was definitely a climax. I didn't know it was the climax at the time. I thought it was kind of preparing for one, but it was cool. Maybe I just had expectations set way too high for this thing, and maybe there will be a sequel. It feels like there has to be a sequel. It feels like it was made for a sequel. It feels like it was a film that just kind of, reserved itself because it was like build-up film. And then boom, when everything was going to go down and it was really going to go crazy, it ended. So we need a sequel now. Aside from that, although, like I said, it's kind of edge of your seat at times, and I'm really like watching and seeing what's developing, and I'm into it. But at the same time, it definitely didn't have the horror vibes for me that the first one did. I don't see it scaring a lot of people. I think a lot of horror fans will be disappointed. Don't get me wrong, there's some good gore in here. The kills are interesting. It's not just a typical lift him up the ground, hook through the stomach, dead. So definitely, like I said, interesting shots, interesting kills. Some of them, but it's not as predictable as some of the other films, like when it's going to happen, when the guy's going to show up. And there's not a lot of cliche crap horror. And that's a great thing. It's definitely not that. We see a lot of that these days. We see a lot of your cliche crap horror films. This is definitely not that. It tells an interesting story. There's things happening that are horrific, that is like, oh my God, what's going on here? But there are some characters, storylines that don't really develop themselves. There are certain characters that show up. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Where's this going with this person? And it just goes nowhere really. And all of the social commentary in this movie is part of the Candyman lore. So I don't have a problem with it, but I feel like it definitely took a front seat to the horror. It's supposed to be a balance of both. And I feel like the horror was here. I'm not saying it wasn't here. And through most of the movie, I was fine with the balance because I thought that towards the end there was going to be some serious Candyman shit. But it didn't really happen like I hoped. And I kind of felt underwhelmed at the end. I sat there through the credits waiting for more. And then nothing else happened because it was over. I thought it was rushed. I thought this movie should have been at least an hour and 45 minutes or something. It turned out to be an hour and a half. And, the original was an hour 40. But just that extra 10 minutes can help you. I mean, an hour 30 is about as short as a film gets. And for a big release like Candyman, I'm actually surprised. And I felt like there was a lot missing. I don't know if they wanted to cut everything down and that was a studio decision or what. But I felt like this was rushed through because the way that it was paced for the first hour was not set up, in my opinion, to be an hour and a half film. It felt like it was going to be a strong, 2-hour film there. And yeah, it just kind of cut. Far and ahead better than the other two sequels. This is a worthy sequel to the original film, I would say. It also really expands on the lore. You learn more about the Candyman and other things that I just don't want to get into because I feel like you should see the movie, but it does expand upon the lore very nicely. And, there are cool stories, and there are also great flashback scenes. There are scenes that take place in the 70s. They look really good. They did great set design here. Everything looks solid. And so far and above better than the other two films. They really carried a lot more. But I felt like this thing was just cut short. I felt like there should have been a better climax, a more extended. I feel like it was just, I felt like that just there was like, okay, we're out of time, guys. Wrap it up. Let's go. Time to go. And they wrapped it up, and that was it. So overall, I would say that this is, in my opinion, good, not great. That's just my personal opinion, and I could be, if I change my mind drastically enough, I'll definitely do another review. I'll just do a spoiler review and give you an updated score. But as of now, that's where I'm at after first viewing. I'm mixed on it, but overall, it's solid. It really is solid. I think you'll enjoy it. There's a lot to grab onto. But I wasn't blown away kind of like I hoped I would be. There's also some humor that just doesn't land for me. Some of the dialogue doesn't land for me. It's just a stylistic thing. Sometimes people, in my opinion, don't act and don't say things that they would really say. I don't know if it's for humor or whatever. I don't really know, but just the style didn't really land for me. But overall, this is solid. I hope you'll check it out and give me your thoughts below. This is something that could grow on me. I could see myself liking it a lot more, or I could actually see myself liking it a little less even, but I don't think I'll ever say, oh, this movie stinks. It's just too good of a movie to say that all around. It's really solid, and I hope you guys will check it out. So let me know down below if you've seen it, what you thought. If you'd like me to do a spoiler review, if this video does well, I might do that. You guys have a fantastic day. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up button. We'll talk to you next time.